Second?
I made.
Very good. Very good.
Councilmember Posey?
Here.
Councilmember Shaw?
Here.
All right. If the clerk would please handle the invocation and Mr. Posey the pledge. If Mr. Moose can get our flag back up.
Our loving God, we are in uncharted times known to us. We come to you asking for healing and the fast elimination of the coronavirus 19. We pray that the measure in place helps for us to do our part in eliminating the spread. Please give us comfort and guidance. Please restore this nation and this world to full health. Be with medical personnel and essential workers and bring them guidance, wisdom, and protection. Nothing is impossible through your Son, Jesus Christ. And in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Salute and pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next, we will look at the approval of the minutes from March 12th work session and the March 16th regular meeting. This past Thursday, I canceled the work session so we could learn technology. Chair is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the minutes as presented without reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Was that Mr. Green the second?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and then we had Mr. Shaw made the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Mayor, do you have any reports, announcements, recognitions?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I apologize. I wanted to take this opportunity to update the council and the citizens of Hoover about our responses to COVID-19 and give a detailed account of the actions we've taken to date. We've taken great measures to share information to the citizens, the council, and our department heads and our employees. We realize the importance of getting good, timely information out because, as we've seen so often, misinformation finds its way into the process, and that is not good. So let me take you on a step-by-step journey through many of the important actions that we've taken. Beginning on March the 2nd, I met with City Administrator Alan Rice, and we began to formulate thoughts about the response to this potential health crisis. On March the 5th, I met with our police department and fire department about their readiness, and we started developing a public health response to this situation. On Thursday, March the 12th, Jefferson County Health Officer Dr. Mark Wilson made the first recommendation to cancel gatherings of 500 people or more. That same day, March the 12th, our financial team met and began to address the financial impact that this could have on the city. I tasked them with putting a tiered plan in place for the economic downturn anticipated and urged them to establish purchasing review, travel, and hiring restrictions. I also briefed you all as the council on the steps that we were starting to take. We were essentially operating business as usual until then, and I don't think anyone had any idea we would be where we are today. Our best glimpse of the widespread impact this virus would have didn't truly hit until Friday, March the 13th. And once we got that glimpse, we began to take action really at breakneck speed, and we really have not stopped since then. On that day, March the 13th, President Trump issued a nationwide emergency declaration, and the term social distancing started its journey as a buzzword. Also that day, Governor Ivey announced a state health emergency that included shutting down the schools in the state until April the 6th. That weekend here in the city, we saw tournaments and events begin to cancel at the Hoover Met and the Hoover Finley Center. Our municipal courts also shut down that weekend, along with the Hoover Senior Center, the library, and the city ballparks. On Sunday, March the 15th, we made sure we had conversations with our Park and Rec Board and our Library Board to make sure they were included in decisions about their facilities. Throughout this time, we kept the council updated on developments through numerous emails, phone calls, and text messages. On Monday, March the 16th, we established the Hoover Emergency Operations Center with these 4 objectives: to continue essential city operations, support public health emergency measures, provide effective communications, and maintain financial stability. Also on the 16th, we closed the Hoover Rec Center and the Finley Center. We began assisting Hoover City Schools with their feeding operations to children who are now out of school. We had and continue to have several city departments cooperating, including fleet, operations, park and rec, and our library. Also on the 16th, the Jefferson County Health Department issued its first order prohibiting gatherings of 25 or more. The next day, March the 17th, we began sanitizing our fire stations and our apparatus. We began working with department heads on alternative work schedules for the employees. Our IT department began working on setting up remote access capabilities as well. On March the 18th, we set up the Hoover Helpline, which to date has received 125 calls. That line continues to be manned by library personnel. We sanitized the E911 center. We sent out our first community alert notification and held our first teleconference with all department heads, encouraging them to implement the next level of staffing adjustments. We held an in-person EOC conference with Councilman John Green and provided the number to our EOC for all council to call for briefings upon request. On March the 19th, Governor Ivey closed all the beaches. The Jefferson County Health Officer prohibited gatherings of more than 10 people, and all non-essential businesses were ordered to close. Starting the following week, March 22nd, the Hoover Business Helpline became operational. The Eat, Shop, Play Hoover website went into effect. The Galleria closed its doors. We closed all playgrounds and sports facilities. We held bi-weekly conference calls with department heads. We implemented a strict emergency savings plan, and we began to work to establish the Hoover Cares Volunteer Business Advisors Coalition. During this time, and continuing as we speak, our fire department has ordered and secured thousands of masks, gloves, gowns, and other personal protective equipment to make sure our first responders are kept safe. It has been critical to me that everyone has gotten the same information so that our weekly EOC briefings, the City Council, a representative of our Employees Advisory Committee, our school superintendent, Dr. Kathy Murphy, and the section and branch leaders have all been briefed and given an opportunity for input to all the actions the city has taken to date. I've had countless phone conversations with our governor, mayors from across the metro and the state, health officers and experts, as well as federal lawmakers and federal agencies. All this while being part of numerous media interviews and releasing several informational videos through social media. On April the 3rd, our financial leadership met with the City Council financial leadership to present to them a preliminary plan to deal with the economic impact of this event on our city. This will be an ongoing series of meetings over the next few months. Our public information officer is serving as part of the Joint Information Center managed by the Jefferson Emergency Management Agency, and our city administrator is serving as the planning section chief for the Jefferson County Unified Command System. We're proud to be a part of both of those programs and support not just the city of Hoover, but the entire Birmingham-Hoover metropolitan area. This is by no means an exhaustive list of all that we've done. It simply gives a glimpse at some of the actions we've taken and continue to take to keep citizens safe and cared for, all while taking measures to protect the city's finances. I can assure you, our employees and our residents, that we will remain focused and will continue to provide critical services to protect the safety and health of our community. I really appreciate all of the teamwork that has gone into this. I appreciate the input from our council members, our department heads, our different organizations throughout our city, our school superintendent, library board, so many that it's just hard to mention them all, but we all know and we all recognize that this is a team effort. Nobody can do this alone, and I'm just here to thank each and every one of you, the council, and all of those folks that I mentioned, how blessed we are to have the resources that we have and the individuals that we have to get us through this major crisis. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. And I know that our staff is online as well and can answer those questions for you as well. Otherwise, thank you for allowing me to present this report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I would ask a question that I have. Do we have all of the protective gear that our first responders need at this time?
Yes, sir. We have all we need at this time, but we are not stopping making sure that we procure, because we know this is going to be an extended event. So every time we get an opportunity to purchase the critical equipment, N95s, for instance, that's kind of been a buzzword, we go after those. So we're satisfied right now, but we're not resting on that. We're keeping vigilant and making sure that we can always protect our employees, and particularly those that are on the front line. I appreciate that question.
Thank you, Mayor. Does anyone else have any questions for the mayor?
For those people from the public who may have missed the beginning, there is a question window in the webinar that you can type in questions as well.
And Mr. Green, I think Mr. Posey has a question. I think Mr. Shaw has a question. I think.
Go ahead, Mr. Shaw.
Mike, you're muted.
Is Mr. Shaw on mute?
Mike, if you want to text it to me, I can answer you.
Yeah, no, I was just making sure. I don't think any of us can unmute ourselves, so okay. I think Kurt had a question. That's all I was saying.
Unmute.
Okay, here we go. Mayor, there's the COVID-19 relief fund that came out from the federal government. Of the activities we're doing, how many of those are reimbursable by that fund?
Mr. Powell is tracking all of that. Fortunately, he's been in dealt with a number of these types of emergencies over his career. And so he's tracking every bit of that. And then we had just a short conversation maybe a week ago about how to set that up. And so he's on top of that, and we'll be able to let you know at some point. Right now, I don't know that we can give you a definitive answer, but I'm quite sure, just working with Mr. Powell over the past many years in these particular crises, he's done an outstanding job tracking our expenses and making sure that we get the refunds that we are supposed to get. Great question. Thank you, sir.
Other questions? No other questions. Did Mr. Smith, has he gotten back on yet?
No, doesn't look like it. Doesn't sound like it.
Mayor, also on the report section, we have employee recognitions and proclamations. Do you want to do that?
Yes, so we won't have any tonight for that. That will be my last report.
Policy set forth in Exhibit A to the resolution to allow eligible employees to take emergency paid sick leave for the reasons set forth in the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which took effect on April 1st, 2020. This policy shall be effective from April 1st, 2020 until December 31st, 2020. The provisions of the policy shall be applied by the city in accordance with the act and any other applicable law or regulation. However, the city reserves the right to restrict employee eligibility in certain critical areas based upon staffing needs as allowed by the act and by applicable law or regulation.
Mr. President, this is Lyda, and I would move for approval of Resolution 6226-20.
Green, second.
All right, a second from Mr. Green. Real quick, I'd like to ask Mr. Rice, how many employees do we have off right now due to the virus or exposure?
Smith, that has fluctuated in and out. I'll have to get an updated count from the fire chief.
He and I spoke earlier today, and he said he had 5 off, not because of testing, but they were exposed to somebody who was exposed. So,
right. We're calling those potential exposures, and at one point in time, we had, I think, 2 of our police officers, but they were cleared and returned to duty. I'm not aware that we have any other employees at this time.
Very good. Any questions from the council?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was reminded that because I'm now controlling the meeting, I needed to hit record. So I think we need to state for the recorded record that a roll call was conducted, a quorum is present. The council reapproved the minutes without reading, and the council continued item 7, payment of bills, prior to the start of the recording.
That take care of it, or you need me to do it?
Yes, I think that's sufficient.
Yes, I need to do it. Okay. Once again, we're sorry for the technical issues with the Hoover City Council meeting in this video conference or audio conference. We do have a quorum. A roll call was made, and everyone is here. We had the invocation, the pledge. We approved the minutes from March 12th and March 16th meetings. On the video, everybody should be able to come back at a later time when it's posted and be able to hear the mayor's remarks. Item 7, payment of the bills, was continued. And we are talking about Resolution 6226-20. Any questions from the council? I'm going to open it up.
Mr. Rice, are you sharing your screen with us?
I don't have the digital documents.
Okay.
I can try to find them and pull them up if you'd like to have. What would you like to have displayed?
Well, I know the next item, there's going to be some details we need to talk through, and I was depending on that document. The only paper I have in front of me is the agenda, so we might can wait till we get there.
All right, let me see if I can pull that.
And I can also look at it on my phone, Alan.
Do you have a number at the house I can fax this to you?
What's the fax?
Do you want me to email it to you again?
I just emailed it to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it here. I can just pull it up on my phone. Thank you. Go ahead.
Moose, you here? Mr. Cope?
Thank you, Alan. There it is.
Mr. Cope? Lost Mr. Cope? No. Cope? All right. Apparently, we do not have the opportunity to invite the public to participate at this time. With that being said, we've got a motion and a second. Any additional questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Next, we have Resolution 6227-20. Mr. Corley.
So, Mr. President, one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Maybe a legal question. Being that we do have technical difficulties, governor has made some opportunities for us to do this electronically and audio and visual. Will this impact us and have to redo this again?
No,
Live?
sir. If anything, it would require the clerk to have minutes available to the public within 12 hours.
Okay.
Because this is recorded, I'm not sure if that alleviates that responsibility or not.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes.
this is Alan. We did re-advertise this new number to the public, so any member of the public who has chosen to dial back in should be able to hear it.
Okay. Who's controlling their participation?
We don't have the type of control that we had on the previous webinar, so it's the open forum.
All right. So they can speak now?
Yes, sir, they can.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would care to speak to the previous resolution?
I just asked one that I know that it's only he's talking.
Sorry?
Robin sent me a text that he was on the original, so I asked him if he was on this new one. I hadn't heard anything from him.
Okay.
Mr. President, I can see all the attendees. There's no members of the public on currently.
All right. Resolution 6227-20, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to fill any current or future employee position vacancy in the fire department, that's Department 21, police department, or Department 20, public safety and dispatch department, Department 19, and engineering departments, which are Departments 4 and 5. It further authorizes the mayor to fill any current or future employee payroll position vacancy in the finance department or Department 11.
Mr. President, I'll move for. Smith, go ahead.
We're going to need a motion first.
Mr. President, I move to continue resolution number 6227-20 to the call of the chair.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Mr. President, I do have a comment on this one. As you know, from our last meeting, we passed a resolution that really stated how the council wants to be engaged going forward, not informed, but engaged. There's a big difference in how these positions are filled going forward. We heard from folks in engineering, we heard from some staff in public safety, and it's my interpretation that the council, I certainly can't speak for everyone, but it was my interpretation that the council was unified in their desire to ensure that public safety was not at all harmed in terms of staffing going forward. So I would like to bring up a motion from the floor, if I may, Mr. President, that includes certain positions from the list that are in the packet that we approved tonight, and of course, continue this resolution to the call of the chair and consider any future positions in the future after we learn more about those. And I'll be happy to run down that list at the appropriate time.
All right, sir. Is this, are you wanting to amend the current resolution, or you're wanting to come with a separate resolution at the next meeting or whenever the call is?
I'd prefer a separate resolution. The resolution that's before us is asking that the council not be engaged in the process going forward. According to the conversation I heard at our last meeting, I think it's the desire that we be engaged. Again, not informed. There's a big difference. So I would suggest that we continue the resolution, but take up a new one from the floor to consider certain positions on this list that we discussed at our last meeting.
Okay, do you want the resolution that you would bring from the floor, is that for tonight or at the next meeting as well?
For tonight.
For tonight. Okay, Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Okay, have you understood Mr. Leiter's request?
I have.
All right, we've got to continue. We have a motion to continue to the call of the chair, the resolution before us. Mr. Posey seconded. Any other comments or questions? Aye, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Pro Tem Green,
Aye.
Councilmember Lyda,
Aye.
Councilmember Middlebrooks,
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy, Councilmember Murphy, Councilmember Posey. I think you said aye, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Councilmember Posey,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw.
Aye.
Do I get to vote?
Oh, Council President Smith. Sorry about that.
It's
Yes,
tough
you
running a
do.
meeting from your living room, isn't it?
Right.
All right. The continuance to the call of the chair of Resolution 6227-20 passes. Now, Mr. Lyda, you had something you want to bring from the floor?
Yes,
Mr.
sir,
Lyda.
Mr. Smith, and I'll have to ask that Mr. Rice work in conjunction with me here to scroll his screen.
Mr. Lyda, if I may, before you begin.
Yes, sir.
Someone has some loud feedback. It's hampering our listening ability. If everyone that is staff members, could you please mute your microphone?
It actually sounds like a computer room, maybe.
Much better.
Thank you, Mr. Lyda. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's much, much better. Okay, if I may run down this list of items, and please, by all means, I'm just going on what we talked about when we last met and passed our resolution. These are the positions, Mr. President, that I'm moving that we approve tonight to approve hiring. So I'm just going to go down the top of the list to the bottom. Payroll specialist, purchasing specialist, city engineer, all 8 police officers, fire inspector senior, police officer reserves, there are 3 of those, chief operations officer, 7 emergency communication officers. That's it.
All right. Did everyone understand?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time. Pardon me if it's not. This is Alan. That is substantially the request that we were making in the resolution that was submitted, was vacancies in the 3 public safety departments and engineering. The issue that's going to emerge, and I just want to say this now for Mr. Lyda's consideration as he frames his motion. We have several pending retirements, specifically in the fire department, and one that will be effective in engineering. That's not yet, these are not yet on this list because they're not yet vacant, but these are people who have signed their retirement paperwork and are, in most cases, burning their time. But they're already gone, but their retirement date hasn't arrived. So, Mr. Lyda, if possible, I'd love to ask for consideration of 2 additional things for the council to debate. One would be pending future vacancies in the public safety departments and in engineering. So that would be police, fire, 911, and engineering. And because we do have pending vacancies that will open up. And then the other would be the concept of backfill. And I'll give you an example off this list. The fire inspector senior that you included will be an internal promotion. And so we'll be able to fill that spot. And then, of course, it'll bump down the chain, and that will create an entry-level vacancy that would not yet be approved by this motion. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do, Mr. Rice, and I understand what you're saying. I hope you also understand that the council wants to be engaged in this. So if those positions aren't vacant tonight, perhaps they'll be in 2 weeks when we gather again, and we can approve it at that point.
I see. So if I'm understanding you, you want us to bring positions as they are vacant for future consideration.
That's correct. That's what our resolution from 2 weeks ago states.
And let me just join in if I can. That's absolutely no problem with us. We can do that. That is easily attainable.
Okay, and can I just go over this list again just to make sure I have them all for the resolution?
Yes, and Wendy, if I may add, that any council member that sees anything that I didn't state, by all means, speak up, because I kind of went down what I thought was the will of the council 2 weeks ago. So please speak up if you see something I missed. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a payroll specialist, purchasing specialist, city engineer, all of the police officers, the fire inspector senior, the police office, all of the police officer reserves, and all of the emergency communication officers.
That's correct from my list. And again, Mr. President, if you here.
Chief Operating Officer.
Oh, thank you. That was one.
Is that Tim's position?
Yes, sir.
Is Jim Wyatt ready to go ahead and retire?
It's filled on an acting basis, and we would need authorization to fill it permanently based on the previous resolution.
Very good. Well, fire department's not up anyway, so it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it at the time. So, Madam Clerk, if you would please assign it a resolution number when you have time. And
it will be resolution 6229-20.
Okay. We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Several
okay,
seconds.
I'm sorry. Who? Yeah. Was that Dr. Middlebrooks?
Middlebrooks and Green seconded. Sorry.
Okay.
2 seconds.
Thank you.
Give them both credit.
Okay.
All right. Any other conversation about this resolution from the floor?
Mr. President, if I would also add, these other positions, it's not my intent, nor do I believe it's the body's intent to say no. It's just that we need some more discussion, and as we move forward very methodically in this environment that none of us really understand or know where it's headed, we're just going to be very methodical in our decisions going forward on these positions.
Very good. We have a motion second. Any other conversation, questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. The resolution passes unanimously. I'm going to have some other questions during comments. Next, we have Resolution 6228-20, Mr. Corley.
This resolution reappoints Kermit Kendrick as a member of the Hoover Board of Education for a term of 5 years, beginning with the first regularly scheduled meeting of the board in June 2020 and ending immediately prior to the first regularly scheduled meeting of the board in June 2025.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes, so we went through a process of publicly advertising these applications, and Kermit Mr. Kendrick was the one that submitted for reappointment. Hold on, just make sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so if we can recall, Mr. Kendrick actually served out Jill Gaines' term in 2017 when we appointed her once she vacated that spot, and I got another opportunity, and he has served well. And so I would recommend that he would be reappointed to serve a 5-year term. Second.
Got a motion. Is that Mr. Green second?
Yes. Green second.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Let it be noted that Middlebrooks will be abstaining.
Dr. Middlebrook abstains. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda? Mr. Lyda?
Uh-oh.
Do y'all hear him?
All right. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I
Yeah.
can, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye.
And I have Dr. Middlebrooks abstaining. Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye. Resolution.
Wendy, this is
passes.
Lyda. Mark me as an aye, please. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
I
I
think
have
you
you.
got you down.
Yeah, I
Thank
did.
you.
Thank
That's
you.
a unanimous vote of the members voting. So that's good. Now we're down to comments and questions. I've got a few things. Does anybody else have anything first?
Mr. President,
I had one thing.
If I'm sorry, Mr. Shaw, I just want to. Hey, mine is somewhat important. Hey, actually, it's very important. Mr. President, I want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you've had a great day today.
I hope nobody has a animal come run around my office.
Where's the gorilla?
Seriously.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Yes.
My apologies. Did the body deal with 622620 on the Families First Coronavirus Response Act?
Yes. Yes, we did.
All right, my apologies. I think I was trying to give dial-in instructions. Thank you.
Is that correct, Ms. Dickerson?
That's correct. Y'all voted on it.
All
And it
right.
passed.
Anything else?
Yes, Mr. President, it's Mike.
Yes, sir.
I might have mentioned this to a couple members. The SFM had sent us a letter to me and Rice and me as chairman of the advisory committee about they've had quite a few cancellations, in fact, all cancellations. And so there's a financial shortfall as a result. We'll need to discuss funding in the immediate term and also what the long-term plan is. I know they've gone from 70 employees down to 12 as a result of this, and so they're taking cost-cutting measures. But I think we need to come up with a plan this week and possibly call a special meeting pretty quickly to address that shortfall. Also, the advisory committee will not be meeting this month. That will be postponed until next month.
All right. You feel that we'll be able to work out whatever's needed before Monday of next week?
I think so.
Because I believe you have a deadline, don't you?
Well, I think that I think they need funding by the 15th is what I was told. Mr. Rice, have y'all had any discussions about that?
Yes, we're reviewing it in finance to determine the exact amount.
All right.
Very good.
So,
you have more, Mr. Shaw?
No, I was just going to say, yeah. So we can probably have something together by Monday of next week.
All right, then Ms. Dickerson, let's have a called meeting for, what's the will of the council, 5 or 6?
I'd yield to Mr. Shaw and you, Mr. Smith, on the best time to do that.
Mr. Shaw?
I think,
Sure, most people will be at home. Mr. Murphy, will you be able to participate from where you would be at 5 o'clock?
Yes.
Sorry? I think I lost you.
Yes, I will.
All right, Ms. Dickerson, let's make it for 5 o'clock next Monday for a called meeting for this particular issue and any that may come up between now and, well, the bills will obviously be taken care of that night, and or anything else that may come up between now and Mr. Green, Wednesday?
Yes, Wednesday.
Okay, very good. As the mayor mentioned earlier, he met, we met by telephone, myself and leadership of finance, Mr. Light and Mr. Posey, to listen to the staff, and the mayor participated as well. When it comes to the city finances, and it was talked that they may work getting other meetings with the rest of the council. Has that occurred?
Yes, we have. I know of one. I'm not sure about the other, but yes, we are planning on having the same meeting with the other council members that we had with the three of you.
Okay. I've developed a couple of questions since then that I'd like to bring up this evening. Dr. Lopez mentioned in our meeting that the city was spending about, I don't know, $8 million a month with spikes up to 10. Is she on?
Yes, that's correct. On average,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. How much money currently sits in the operating account? And has finance come up with any better numbers on income or revenue anticipation between now and, say, July?
To answer your first question, in terms of the operating fund, I assume you're talking about the general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, are you referring to how much cash is available, or just how well we're doing to this point in time in the fiscal year?
No, how much is in the bank right now? That if you had to pay all the bills at one time for the rest of the fiscal year, how much is there to pay? How much would be available to pay?
Okay, so what would be available in the general fund would basically be our beginning of the year fund balance, which is the 32 million, almost $33 million, and then also approximately $3 million of the capital projects fund that is unallocated.
Now, is the 32 million, that's the reserves, correct?
That is correct.
So there is no money available right now in an operating account, bank account, checkbook?
Not that's not already allocated. And I think
no, I'm not talking, I'm talking about just cash in the bank, allocated or not.
Okay, as Mr. Powell mentioned the other day, in the bank we have about $100 million in cash, but keep in mind that does include money we already have that's going to, payroll is going to take, it's going to be required for payroll, debt service, and that sort of thing.
Right, but that also includes the investment money, correct?
That is correct.
Are there any additional funds, even if they're allocated, for the operating budget?
We, through period 5, we were about $5 million ahead of the budget to that point. Of course, as we discussed, we expect period 6 to use up some of that, but that would be in addition as well at this point in time.
And what kind of recommendations do y'all have right now to save money?
Mr. Smith, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
If I could, a couple of comments. We have a significant number of recommendations that are included in that 4-phase plan that we presented to you and Mr. Lyda and Mr. Posey, and we'll present to the remaining council members this week. But I wanted to make a comment as well on the monthly average cash. That is assuming no control measures in place. That's if we just took the approved budget and divided it by 12. We have a number of control measures already in place, both through the mayor's executive order and instructions he's issued, and also through the council's resolution. So we're not currently spending cash at the rate that was discussed previously in this conversation. We don't have full employment right now. We have a travel ban. We have a critical purchasing only directive from the mayor. So we're reviewing every requisition to be sure that it fits into that category. We have a number of capital projects that are funded but not contracted. So that money is not leaving. So I just wanted to be abundantly clear to the council that we are not spending money at the rate that that was kind of a theoretical question of how much would we spend every month, but that's if we were at full volume on spending, and we're certainly not at that right now.
Correct. I understand that. I was just wondering how much money's in the operating checkbook, not including investment funds or reserves, even if it's
I think
allocated.
that's something that Dr. Lopez could generate and send you as a follow-up with a lot of detail.
Thank you. If you please send it to the entire council. All right. Do you know what phase we are at right now in the mayor's 4 phase? Has that changed since our meeting?
Well, I think it's now the mayor and council's 4 phase because we did have the input of the council financial leadership. I think we're at a combination of, well, I'm sorry, the document I have in front of me does not reflect the edits that were made by council in that meeting. But I think we're at a combination of phase 2 and 3 measures right now. That doesn't mean we've implemented all phase 2 and 3 measures. But I think of the measures that have been enacted, the majority of them are phase 2 and some of them are phase 3.
Thank you.
And that is at a glance.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the council? Hearing none, I would say let's adjourn before 8 o'clock.
Mr. President, this is Lyda, and I'd move for adjournment. Green seconds that.
All in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Hang up.
Amen. See you later.